to Inner Peace Better Health, where heartfelt conversations guide us toward healing, growth, and stronger connections. I'm your host, Saima, and today's guest is Johnny Hornby, a licensed counselor, EMDR therapist, play therapy practitioner, and author of the beautiful children's book Med for Thais. Through her work, Jenny helps families navigate big feelings in ways that foster understanding, resilience, and love. As a mother herself, she knows firsthand how overwhelming emotions can feel for kids and adults alike. In this conversation, we'll explore how to talk about emotions with children, why play is such a powerful tool for healing, and how families can create safe spaces to express what's really going on inside. Jenny, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, you're warmly welcome. So let's start with what inspired you to write Mid for this and what conversations did you hope it would spark in families?
Mm. So I was inspired to write it during COVID. I was, in lockdown, couldn't go anywhere. And I was parenting at that time children who were 12 and 8. And my youngest son was just facing some fears in different areas, but one particular memory was with swimming. We were at a place where we could swim with these like wild big fish, and he really wanted to do it, but he was so scared to do it. And we ended up making up a silly song to help us kind of relax and make it playful, and he was able to enjoy this experience and learn about these fish. And I was finding playing with kids in the neighborhood that lots of them had fears of, you know, worms or bugs or they were just very anxious in general, these young kids. And so I started actually thinking about otters. So my story is this otter family. And I had learned that otter parents, when they're teaching their kids to swim, they're very playful, very fun. And if a little baby pup starts to get, upset or frustrated or whatever otters feel, the mom or dad would take the otter to the bank, let them take a break, and then they'd be playful again and come back and try to teach them. And I loved that idea, so I do watercolor myself, and so I started painting these otters, and this story just started coming together of a little otter pup who was facing fears and scared, and how his mom was able to help him, overcome those fears and enjoy and have fun in the water and not be so scared.
Oh, it's so admirable. So why do you think, it's so hard for families to talk about big feelings openly?
That's a great question. Honestly, a lot of parents that I talk to when I do family therapy and things like that, a lot of parents never were taught themselves. So, what I find is most of us have either learned to shut down emotions and ignore them, or our emotions totally overwhelm us and take over. And neither one is very productive usually. And so a lot of parents struggle with finding that middle space. What does it look like to acknowledge how I feel, notice it, but not let it take over? So I think a lot of it honestly just starts with parents learning how to do it and then modeling it and learning with their kids together and kind of making it acceptable. It's okay that you're mad. It's okay if you're afraid. But we don't need to let that take over. And we also don't need to hide it or shove it away somewhere where it will come out later.
And that's such a tender reminder that sometimes it's not about solving, but simply holding space, no?
Yes, yes. Oh, that's so true. Yes. And I find the same thing. I have so many images in my mind thinking about how do we attend to our emotions. And I think you're right. If we can be with them and notice them, there's an immediate relief that comes just by paying attention. In my work, sometimes I'll ask my clients, just let's take a minute and just notice your breath. You don't need to change it, just notice it. And with that invitation, they immediately take like a deeper breath and they kind of sigh and relax. And I didn't ask them to do that. I just said, just notice your breath, you know? And so I think as we turn towards our emotions and our breath or our tightness or whatever's distressing us, there's an immediate softening that happens because now it's feeling seen and acknowledged.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, you have trend and play therapy, which I find so fascinating, Jenny. So,
Oh,
what's
yeah.
play, such an effective way for kids to process emotions?
Yes. Yes. Play therapy is wonderful. Um, so the idea is with children that because of their development, they are really living their emotions. They're not mentally developed far enough yet that they're able to do a lot of stepping back and noticing. They're just feeling it, right? And living it out and reacting. And so a lot of times that's why just having conversations doesn't really work with kids because now if we're talking, we're more in a language space, and we're not in that deeper space of where the emotions are living and how the kids are responding. So play allows a child to use the language that they're comfortable with. And it allows them, first of all, to have fun if they want. It allows them to express themselves. Maybe if they choose to, draw, if they choose to get little toy animal figures and create a scene with these animals.
Mm-hmm.
There's this sense of agency. I'm going to make this, I'm going to create this. And so there's a real partnership as the play therapist of holding space, being with them in that space. And I call it the invisible hold. I might not be playing with them unless they've invited me, but I'm giving them my full attention. If they look up at me, they'll find me smiling and interested and engaged with them. But I tend to not do a lot of talking. I am just open and holding space for them as they play and express and move throughout the room. And I might say things like, oh, I might label it for them like, "Oh, you're mad. Oh, you're scared. Oh, you're frustrated." And I'll start to name it for them so that they can start attaching an emotional vocabulary to what they're experiencing, but they can keep moving through it. And the idea with play therapy is that children have this innate ability and capacity for growth if we give them the space to do that. That it doesn't have to be us setting a lot of limits, setting a lot of agendas, but just giving them space to grow and play, just like a flower or a tree. You give them the right environment and they grow. And of course, sometimes I do have to set limits, but I don't start out a play therapy session with these are all the rules. I allow them to play. And if a limit is needed, I'll bring it up. But part of it is kind of them taking some risks, exploring and moving throughout their play and finding where their edge is. A lot of kids have a hard time expressing anger or fear. And so sometimes I'll have them, I might give them a direction and say, let's make a happy world, for their kitty cat toys, and we'll explore like, oh, what's making this a happy world? Oh, they have friends. Oh, they're outside. Oh, they have food, and as they get comfortable with those safer emotions, I might ask
Mm-hmm.
them, I wonder what it would be like if we gave the cat a little problem to solve. What kind of problem would we give him, And so I let them kind of bring, um, where do they wanna go? Where do they feel comfortable exploring? But sometimes I have to start with giving them kind of a safe, secure base of, "Okay, I know happiness, I know safety, I know security. I can branch out and maybe touch fear or touch that anger for just a minute and bring things to help this little cat, with his problem. What could we give him? What could we bring them?" Um, so it's a lot of fun, and actually, I do a lot of story writing with kids too, we'll write stories and give the characters a problem to solve and what do they need and how can we help them and how can we give this a happy ending, you know? And it's just it's really in that creative space for them. And it's just they love it. They love coming. You don't have to fight with them. You're working with them. And it's a real joy, honestly.
Oh, that's so admirable, Jenny. So, is this something parents can do at home to tap into that same healing
Yes.
power?
Yes, absolutely. So I encourage parents to take around 20 minutes each day for uninterrupted child focused play. And so this would be a kind of play maybe that isn't super competitive, isn't going to be on a screen or a device, um, and allowing the child to choose. So maybe I have Legos out, maybe I have clay out, maybe I have art supplies, maybe I have a stuffed animal or, we have some ideas out and as the parent, I follow the child's lead, being invited into the play, kinda letting the child give you a job. For example, kids love to play soldiers in my office, and I never played that as a kid. And so the children will be so gracious and teach me. They'll say, "Okay, Miss Jenny, you set up over here and you're gonna have this and that," and so I follow their lead. And so it's really a beautiful way to strengthen our attachment with children, because you'll recognize they'll look at you and they'll smile, and that's kind of the indicator that we're connecting, and there's that thread that's giving them a sense of, "I'm not alone, I can do it, I'm able and capable to make changes and move things in this world I've created." Um, it's just a beautiful thing. So I love for parents to, turn off televisions, turn off devices, put it all in another room if you can. So it's not a temptation and just let the child lead you in what they would like to do and follow their lead.
Ah, I absolutely love that. It gives permission for expression beyond words, no?
Yes, yes, expression beyond words. Yeah. And and that was one of the first things I learned in my training was language is very disconnected from our emotions. More where our emotions lie is where images lie, where our body sensations are. That's where we're going to find a deeper emotional connection. And so, if I can work with those images, either in their play or in their art, we're going to be connecting at a much deeper level than words could bring.
Mm-hmm. So, if listeners could walk with one insight today, a short insight, what would you want it to be?
Yes. Um, Honestly, I'm learning a lot about allowing kids to take risks. And I personally, as a mom, can become very anxious that something bad's going to happen or they're going to get hurt. And I'm seeing how that can really get in the way of them developing and growing. So I'm really encouraging parents just to join me in that journey of stepping back and allowing kids to explore, to fail, to be bored, to do, riskier things and step back and only intervene if you really have to, but letting them work it out and problem solve. And you'll see that in their play. There's going to be little things where they might get stuck and rather than jumping in and resolving it and smoothing out, sitting back and maybe saying like, "Oh, I see that this seems a little tough. I wonder what we should do." Uh, like I had a kid yesterday spilled water all over my office. We were having a bath for her baby dolls, and water got spilled everywhere. And in the past, I would have jumped in to try to help, 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 But I'm learning that for kids, it's so much more beneficial if I step back and help them think it through. "Oh, so we've spilled water. I wonder what we should do." And I tell them, like, "You get to decide." And she cleaned it up, and it was so adorable because when we spilled a little bit later, she was like, "Oh, I know what to do." And I could see just in that
Mm-hmm.
few moments just her confidence growing. And if I had stepped in and done it, she wouldn't have gotten to experience that. So there's that sense of I can explore, I can make a mess, and I know how to take care of it and clean it up. And so her capacity to play, she was less fearful. So just stepping back, not jumping in so quick with our kids.
Ah, that's indeed so adorable, Jenny. Thank you for showing us that big feelings aren't something to fear. They're invitations to deeper connection, growth, and love. And for all our listeners, if you're holding space for big emotions today, whether in yourself or your family, you're not alone. And maybe the
Mhm.
bravest thing is simply to say, I see you, I'm here. Until next time on Inner Peace Better Health, stay kind to yourself, stay open to the journey, and remember you're meant for